Hey guys, welcome back to the Casual NBA Fanatic podcast. Now, today's episode is literally just the most fun thing that we're going to talk about right now that the finals are over. And it's basically who is the best player in the world conversation right now after looking through the entire season. And obviously, this isn't going to be my final call before the next season starts. But the fact is, again, we're already at the end and we've already seen the playoff matchups already arise. We've seen Nikola Jokić play basketball in the postseason. We've seen Shai, we've seen Victor. We haven't seen anything of Luka and Giannis, but we can actually still grade them and rank them based on what we've seen from this past season alone. And then obviously the guy that enters the mix is the finals MVP right now, Jalen Brunson. So we're just going to be going through quickly just the official best player in the world conversation today. And so as you can already tell, the candidates are really just the top 5 megastars already. And it's pretty clear cut. I don't think there's really any confusion with who's actually in the certified top 5 before. Brunson entered the conversation. Fact is, SGA, Luka, Wemby, Jokić, Giannis, these are the most dominant players in our game today. But Jalen Brunson's joining the conversation there. And he actually does have an ounce or a whisper of a best player in the world conversation. But let's just quickly run through each guy's case. This is going to be a quick episode here, but this is so fun to look at. And it's just quickly the rough first choice right now. I'm going to go through some more player rankings towards the rest of the offseason, obviously. But we'll quickly give you my pick and my just rough ranking estimate of how I'm going to view these guys. But first off, let's knock off SGA, the guy that actually probably held the best player in the world conversation in terms of the consensus value, with most people choosing him as the best player in the world. Probably held that for 2 weeks. Now, SGA's claim to fame for this spot is the fact that he's the best scorer in the NBA. That's his superpower in the league. He's the best scorer in basketball. And he had arguably the best offensive season out of anyone in the NBA this year. 31 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists. So as a distributor, getting way more mature at making those reads against multiple different defensive coverages. So it gives you that historically low turnovers considering that volume of production. And he shoots that on 55% from the field, 39% from 3, 88% from the free throw line. And the most efficient perimeter scorer that we've seen since 2016 Steph Curry. And except for 2016 Steph Curry, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had the second most efficient perimeter scoring season for a guy to average 30 above. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. And again, back-to-back MVPs, led 3 back-to-back-to-back number 1 seeds in the Western Conference right now too. So he's done impeccable things right now, and it's literally because you can't guard him from anywhere on the court. This guy's scoring leverage on any angle, at any pace, from any direction, off any level of balance, it's absolutely fucked right now. And his shot creation as well, matched with a bit more over-the-top size, the agility. That's SGA's claim to fame here. Luka has the highest offensive ceiling out of anyone in the NBA. That's his claim as the best player in the world. Luka's ceiling as a basketball player, obviously defensively, a few notches down, but the most valuable thing you can do in the NBA is be an offensive engine. Literally fuel an offense for a team. Suffice enough to, again, hopefully battle for those conference finals, those finals appearances, those top 2 to 4 spots in the league as a team. If you can do that and fuel offense basically more or less by yourself, that is the most impactful thing you can do in the NBA as an individual talent. So again, highest offensive ceiling in basketball, and the fact is, against a guy like Nikola Jokić and SGA and Victor Wembanyama, Luka Dončić can hunt that step back 3, and he can get the momentum going from that signature step back 3 to a level that is just so damaging for defenses on any single night. Again, we're talking about a guy with universal shot touch. SGA's shot touch is absolutely impeccable, and from the intermediate range, he's 1 of 1 in the league right now. But Luka Dončić, from that soft touch zone, from that floater range, again, that paint non-restricted area, for how often he can actually hunt that with his size and the actual leverage that he has as a pull-up shooter, be able to hunt those extra downhill angles, keep you in jail, come down, pick and roll. This guy brings universal shot touch, off-balance shot making as well, just the level of strength as well against contact when he is off-balance. And obviously the over-the-top advantages, the step back, actually how far back he actually releases the ball. Again, universal shot touch, that adds into that offensive ceiling. Also just driving pressure, it's just based fully on physicality at this point. So Shai relies on agility, and that's why he struggled against real physical, pesky defenders like the San Antonio Spurs. Luka wouldn't have that issue. Again, foul drawing as well. That's an A-plus level trait with him. And then the passing angles because of the size and the vision. And the passing angles as well, like when Jokic is burying himself down the post, there's less passing angles for him. Luka starts his possessions so far out on those drives. Again, so that's where the offensive ceiling comes into things. Again, highest offensive ceiling in basketball. The guy gave you 33, 8, and 8 this season, 48, 37, 78 splits. Free throw leader and the field goal attempts leader, so by far the most aggressive offensive player in the league. Victor Wembanyama just came off the finals run out of the beastly Western Conference Finals, and by far the most impactful defender of this era. Unanimous DPOY for the first time in NBA history. 3 years in the NBA, 3 times as a blocks leader so far. 25 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 blocks. Tremendous run as well in terms of incrementally boosting up his level of shot selection, his maturity, his ball security, all this year, targeting all of those. And he took down SGA and Anthony Edwards in the same playoff run just by on paper. Like, that's amazing. And he boasts maybe the most offensive gravity in basketball right now. Maybe Steph still holds it, but in terms of what this guy does with that roll man dynamic, like, no one has an answer for except for collapsing and attacking him at the waist and leaving shooters open. That is incredible gravity that he has brought this year, and it bolstered a finals team. Nikola Jokic, statistical freak of the NBA still, 28 points, 13 rebounds, and 11 assists. This is a 7-footer, 57, 38, 83 splits. He brought back the shooting, lost it towards the postseason again in that terrible first-round matchup. That is fine, though, because the dude led the league in rebounds and assists for the first time ever, averaged a triple-double now for back-to-back years. That is his claim to fame. He's the production monster of the NBA. And the fact is as well, like, this is, in my opinion, the best offensive player in basketball in a vacuum. He anchors the cleanest half-court offense when the Nuggets are healthy. This is the best half-court offense. 5-on-5 execution, slow-down style. What usually favors and, like, bows the best come postseason time. Literally what made the New York Knicks so dangerous. Again, Nikola Jokic leads the most dominant half-court offense in basketball, in my opinion, when they are healthy. Post-up machine, and he owns the most effective and most efficient possession-based offensive action that any player can run, and that is what he does as a post-up player. He's got the touch, he's got the size, the passing angles, all of it's just absolutely glamorous. We've been talking about it for like 4 or 5 years at this point, but that's all there. Defensively as well, he brings more of an edge up impact-wise than guys like Luka and even SGA because of just positional demands of being a center and like dragged into every single pick and roll action as well. And he actually has decent hands, decent anticipation, decent footwork as well, decent timing on his recoveries and whatnot. So we'll give him an edge there. And then Giannis. This edges out the top 5. The most physical and athletically gifted specimen in the league right now, still to this day, even with Victor Wembanyama coming on the rise, and the most unstoppable driver of the basketball in terms of physical inevitability and physical leverage. Again, we talked about Luka's abilities as a driver because he is big and strong and physical. Talked about SGA with the agility. Giannis just mixes both that together, plus maybe 5 inches onto that size as well. Maybe plus 5 inches onto the length. So the release angles are even more absurd there as well. And in terms of just the powerful strength, like we talked about Luka's strength, well, Giannis Antetokounmpo might be the strongest player in the league in terms of generating powerful momentum on those drives specifically. 28 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 62% from the field. And what's funny though about that, I said 28, 10, and 5. That's his stat line. He does that in 29 minutes a game. Because of the injury and the less load that he could actually play. If you per 36 Giannis's minutes, it's fucking terrifying. Per 36, Giannis is giving you 34 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists a game. Again, on that stellar 62% field goal percentage. Still super impactful as a two-way weapon as well. We talk about the build, the sorting length, the size, the athleticism, the tenacity and intensity. And then obviously, though, the only knock on Giannis's thing, because obviously we're talking about this glamorous rim pressure, this two-way impact, the athletic value that he gives you, but the injury-prone recent years, though, that is what derails his case a lot. And, you know, the thing is with Giannis, and what is upsetting, is that whenever we see Giannis semi-healthy, even in the playoffs, this guy is the most sure bet out of this top 5 zone to have a dominant postseason production out of anyone in this group because he is a physical anomaly. Any series you pick out of in recent NBA history when Giannis is present, this guy's putting up absolutely fucking monstrosity numbers, and there's nothing anyone can actually do about it. Whether that actually aligns with the same team impact, that is different, and that is why this is a conversation. But the numbers that this guy is putting up and the ability to get his own is never denied in the postseason. Jalen Brunson, though, he enters the conversation as our sixth guy, and it's really only the finals MVP and the championship that gives him a voice here, but it gives him a pretty substantial voice. You win the fucking title and the finals MVP. That is what every single player fights for every single year. And who got it? 6'1" Jalen Brunson. Obviously, Brunson's more capped as an athlete, and he lacks a bit more of that potential versatility because he's not this big, strong, tall, lengthy, not super explosive, fast, strong, like any of that. He's strong, but he's lower to the center. His lower center of gravity as well limits the actual versatility and impact they can give you, whether that's, rebounding, a ton of actual pushing out in transition, physical ball pressure as well, being able to tip passes in passing lanes as a team defender. All those things are capped relatively. But the thing is, what I do give him over, the guys who he would be compared against, SGA, Luka Dončić, as offensive engines at the guard spot, this guy's way more active off ball than both of those guys. And he's way more efficient off ball as well. Just of the season he's had, regular season, this is a guy who averaged 26 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, 47, 37, 84 split. So nothing too sexy there. But he also led the league in playoff points, which is something that has flown terribly under the radar so far. He's the best off-ball shooter, though, out of this group. In terms of what he can do in a vacuum and what we know as Jalen Brunson as a catch-and-shoot shooter. In the playoffs, this guy made 44% of his catch-and-shoot threes in the playoffs. And this is a guy that attempts just under 3 of those looks a game. But that is incredible, considering the amount of ball handling rhythm that typically these guys actually need to be able to get their shots going off with actual rhythm and momentum. Guys like Luka and SGA, they like to dribble the air out of the basketball to get that rhythm as well. That's what they practice in their off time. But Jalen Brunson does that, but he also can make shots at a superbly elite level off the catch. And that is a really hard, underrated skill to actually provide to a team. And it's why the Knicks were such a holistic team offense this year under the Mike Brown offense. Because the thing is, Jalen Brunson is great as a screener, but when you can actually punish teams off ball as the star player and actually allow other ball handlers on the team to have their own level of possession, own level of creation freedom, that is extremely valuable in the team context. And it proved in them winning a fucking championship. And again, just in terms of the spot-up value that this guy's giving you, in the regular season, this guy was an 84th percentile spot-up guy, 1.2 points per possession. Points per possession, either attacking closeouts or knocking shots over closeouts. This guy was elite. He's a top 4 offensive engine in basketball. I think he's clearly behind Luka, Shai, and Jokic in that value. But the off-ball stuff is absurd. For the level of degree that he actually handles the ball. That's what I want to assert. But the thing is, this is the most dominant scorer in the NBA when it comes to changing speed and direction in this league. He's the best shot creator when it comes to literally the speed at which he changes his own pace and direction. So that is Jalen Brunson's claim to fame. But I'm going to quickly end this little segment here because I just laid out the top 6 guys that are fighting for this race. But I'm going to give you my end of season take, my rough gut, and it's no surprise, it's still Victor Wembanyama. The fact is, when you're picking players in a vacuum, you have to pick team context and how they impact the team most of the time without the ball in their hands. Because the thing is, yes, there are perks and there's shit tons of value they can get out of someone, taking 40% of your usage rate and all your possessions offensively. But there's also a different level of impact when there's a guy that actually thrives on actually giving other players more freedom, but also creating value and more outlets and more space for everyone on the floor to thrive. And when you build a competent roster around those guys, that's just when the ceiling-raising traits for me overtake the floor-raising traits. Floor raising is literally when you pass the ball, shoot the ball for your team, handle the ball for your team, manufacture every single possession, do manufacture through all the decisions, do everything for your team. But the thing is, obviously, there are drawbacks to that. Victor Wembanyama is by far the best ceiling raiser in the NBA right now. he will be the best ceiling raiser in NBA history. But right now, in terms of the impact that he brings, it stretches to every single game, to every single fucking matchup. And just like Giannis's rim pressure dynamic, the thing is, Victor's defensive impact is always going to be present and offering impact every single possession. Giannis's rim pressure to me is absolutely undeniable, but Victor's defensive impact is a notch above that in terms of providing value every single time down the floor. The thing is, Wemby's rim protection dynamic is just something that is worlds ahead of anything that we've seen this century. You probably have to date back to what? Hakeem Olajuwon, but even further back, to be honest with you, because the rim protection value back then wasn't as absurd. Maybe you have to go back to that Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell era to find this sort of rim protection dynamic be so absurdly valuable right now. Because the thing is, when you take away the most efficient looks in the NBA and you force teams to play just this pull up and catch and shoot leaning offense against a point of attack defensive line that is completely physically pressuring at the hip continuously, caused the downfall for this OKC team with SGA, caused the trouble for the Minnesota offense. It caused trouble for the Knicks offense for the majority of this series in terms of time duration that the Spurs were actually containing that Knicks offense. So you add that, which is an everlasting bit of impact, and then you add that to the roll man gravity. Like, the roll man gravity itself, that's just a mathematical formula for clean, wide open catch and shoot threes, clean driving pressure lanes for elite athletes like Harper and Steph Castle. And then also, if you don't collapse properly and you don't make him uncomfortable properly, the guy's an agile frame that it's really hard to get in front of and stay in front of. But then the catch radius is just fucked. The catch radius itself is impactful on, rolls, cuts, dives, crashes to the rim, anywhere. Anytime this guy enters the rim, this guy's providing value because you have to be wary of his presence because you can't stop the catch without fouling him. The shot touch is elite. It might be top 3 to 5 in the NBA in general, down low around the rim. Just considering his size, and he's absurdly coordinated, so there's just not many answers that you can have from him, and he's an above average passer for his height. So obviously we can have knocks about the switching defense and how much he overplays on the perimeter. You can bump around his high center of gravity, whatnot. You can be super physical with him. You can cause troubles that way. You can cause trouble forcing him as just a face-up, pull-up jump shooter. He resorts to the pick and pop a little bit too much. Maybe the Spurs offense doesn't allow him to get enough paint touches that people would like in the half court. Dude's a monster, and he impacts the game just better than anyone right now. And that is my take for having Victor as the best player in the world. But the race is fucking close as shit. And I've got to rank these guys at some point this offseason, and that's going to be a tough journey. And I don't know if I'd take SGA over Wemby. I don't know if I'd take Jokic still over Wemby. I don't know. But right now, gut feeling of what I've just seen for the past few months, Victor Wembanyama is the best player in basketball, and those are the top 6 guys fighting for that spot. I thank you guys for listening, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.